Okay, so our next step is we're going to create a background design. And with those background design, we can use lines, we could use the shape tool, we can play around with the thickness of the lines, and then we can take our shapes, we could either fill it with a solid color black, or we could just use the outline and have just the outline of that shape. So when we're doing this, what I want you to kind of think about is creating repetition. So whatever design you create in the background, have that repeat, and maybe you even change the size of that repetition. Okay, so maybe you have this element, it's smaller, in another area larger. You can see I have my shark, and my shark is repeated in the background, and I play around with the shape of that. And then I also added lines. With my lines, I'm playing around with the thickness of my lines, and my lines are going in different directions. I kind of have this framing around my man that's being picked up by the hand. And then lastly, you'll notice that all my shapes are connected. Okay, we don't want any floating shapes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our document, and what I'm going to have you guys do is create a new layer. So I just added a new layer. I'm going to be working on layer 13, and you're just going to create some kind of design. You can use your shape tool with it. Maybe I have my triangle. You could change the width of the line when you are working. I recommend don't go any lower than maybe 10 points. That width might be too small for the laser cutter to work with, so around 10 points would probably be the best. Thicker might even be better. I could take the shape, I could use just the fill option instead of the no fill. Make sure if you have the fill that it is a no outline versus a color white. Okay, that will be important. And then what I could do is I could duplicate this shape always. Maybe I move it, adjust it, rotate it, connect it. Oops, I'm gonna make it smaller. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate that again. I'm gonna rotate that new one. So now I have maybe this design, okay? What I could do is I could take my arrow tool, draw a little box around that, highlight them all, and then I could group it. So I could group those, and now I can move this around as a single shape. I could resize it, and I could take that and duplicate that multiple times in different areas, okay? Maybe play around with the sizes of that shape. If it goes outside of this frame of your canvas here, that's fine. And then what we'll do is we can take our pencil tool, and we could either create lines. Again, let's use a thickness of at least 10 or higher. Okay, I can create squiggly lines to connect, put a no fill on that. Okay, but we're going to end up connecting all our shapes, okay, so that none of them are floating. I'm kind of just messing around a little bit, but I could have my design here, fill that in. Maybe not, but you guys get the point. Last thing, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a frame. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool, and I'm going to start at the edge of my paper and go to the other corner of my paper, and I'm going to increase this to about, make it pretty thick, 39. Okay, so I have this black frame, and that way the laser cutter would also cut this frame and have a nice clean edge for our design, okay? So go ahead and do that. If you have any questions, feel free to call me in your breakout room.